Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're taking a look at the 2017 Ram 2500 Power Wagon. So yeah, I don't really know very much about these kind of trucks from America because it's really not a European or even British thing to have such a thing like this. But nonetheless, it is in the game out of the recently released Dell Gaming car pack, and yeah, it's a pretty sizable beast, not just in terms of engine but also in terms of size and weight. As you can see, it's really rather large. I imagine I wouldn't even be anywhere near as tall as this car. But nonetheless, this is the 4th generation, which started in 2009, with the Ram being used as far back as 1932, though these Ram trucks have been around since around the early 80s. And yeah, they are technically under the Chrysler Corporation, but they're kind of a bit separate now, like SRT Vipers were, etc. like that. And this has the off-road package, which has these decals on the side and rear, Power Wagon, and also has off-road suspension, as you can see by how tall it is. And yeah, front tow hooks and protection package, which I imagine is skid plates for the front and fuel tank and diffs, etc. like that. It's also got a winch at the front, as you can see. And yeah, it's a pretty much everything you could expect from a big off-road vehicle, and certainly something that any worker could that uses these kind of vehicles will get the most out of, because as you can see by the rear, there's huge amount of space, and you can put literally thousands of pounds of weight in the back of this, and it will be perfectly fine. Imagine you can tow a fair bit as well. So yeah, it's got all-wheel drive, and to go with the off-road suspension, which means I imagine nothing would really trouble this in terms of going off-road. It's also got a high-range and low-range gearbox, which can also go into a two-wheel drive if you need. And yeah, it's pretty luxurious in here, though for some reason it needs 3 cup holders in the front, despite you can only have 2 people in there. But yeah, pretty luxurious. As you can see, it's got everything you could ever desire from such a car, probably far more than any of the average worker that would use one of these would ever need. Pretty spacious in the back, though I think there is only there's 3 seats, though the middle one doesn't look all that comfy. But yeah, like I said, I don't really know much about these vehicles. What I do know is that the engine in this car has been used in plenty of other Dodge and Chrysler vehicles. The 6.4 litre V8 Hemi, which was also in the Dodge Durango as well, which is also in this car pack, and it produces 410 horsepower and 429 pounds-feet of torque. So not as much as like the other SRT vehicles that use this engine, but I'm sure it's decent enough for what this car is going to be doing. But the fact it has to haul around 7,044 pounds means that it's not going to get the most out of that power. But nonetheless, let's take this herculean sized vehicle out onto the track and see what it can do. So see you when we get there. Right, so Road Atlanta full circuit for 1 lap. 1 lap primarily because, well, it's not the fastest thing in the world by any means, but at least it's got that V8 going for it, and it's not like got barely any power like some heavyweight SUVs on this game. So as you can see nothing whatsoever behind this car, so I am going to go interior for one of the rare moments that I actually do this, but such a large vehicle you can barely see from behind, so yeah. And as you'd expect from a car that has so much weight up front and so much weight in general, it's not the best in terms of handling, especially considering how high riding it is and how high the centre of gravity is on the vehicle. Acceleration wise, neither is it all that great. No, it's not the slowest, at 0 to 60 in 7.683 seconds and 0 to 121.882 seconds. And it has a fairly decent top speed as well at 144 miles an hour, but I have to admit, for a car with such a sizable engine and a decent amount of power, that isn't all that great. But then again, if it did have more power, then that weight would be offset by a fair bit. It's a shame really that it doesn't have as much power as the SRT kind of cars, that extra 60 or so horsepower that the likes of the Durango have. Really would come in handy in terms of getting this car moving a little bit quicker. Just to put that into perspective, that 0 to 60 time, oh dear, just quickly having a look, that's actually slower than the Holden Monaro GTS in terms of 0 to 60 time and 0 to 100 time. So slower than a 50-year-old muscle car, which I think says a fair bit, to be honest, which is obviously a bit unfortunate. Oh dear, I do apologise, I was looking through my notes then instead of looking at the road. So yeah, slower than a 50-year-old muscle car, but this is more of a worker's vehicle than anything. It's meant to be able to go off-road, it's meant to be able to haul huge amounts of weight, and I'm sure it's perfectly capable of doing that, otherwise it wouldn't sell as much as it does. And just the fact that there's so many different trim levels, so many different engines, so many different body configurations, etc., that just kind of shows how versatile and useful this whole thing is. So yeah, hats off to how versatile and useful it is, and I'm sure plenty of people get a massive amount of use out of it, but use on this game, it's probably a little bit less of a kind of a worthwhile addition to the game, quite frankly. But, you know, I'm all for variety, and a £7,000 truck that is quite imposing and quite actually cool to look at is sort of worthy, but in comparison to the kind of cars that we could have had instead, maybe not as much as a worthwhile addition, but it's here. I'm not going to complain about it. It is another, you know, variety that we've had, and we've certainly not had anything like this before in the game. We've never had any of these power wagons before, so yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that. And it would be nice to see some other like trucks like this, like the Chevrolet ZL1, I think it's called. It was on a Top Gear, and maybe we can do back the Ford Raptor. That would be nice to see as well, to go up against this vehicle, and we can have probably some races to go up against them and comparisons as well. So yeah, it would be nice to see more like this, but on its own it's a bit out there and a bit, you know, useless at the moment. But if they do add more pickups like this, then I'll be perfectly happy to have it in the game and alongside those other cars. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.